29-27, the final score in Indianapolis. So the Houston Texans pull off a victory. How did they get it done? We'll go through everything from this matchup that you need to know. We're doing it live right here on YouTube. Appreciate you riding along. I appreciate you for checking out the video. Throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Welcome into the channel. Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. Let's talk about that nail biter. The Texans hang on to take care of business in Indianapolis. 29-27. They are 1-0 in the 2024 NFL season. Man, that one was tough, but a resilient and a tough Texans team come out with a victory. We'll go through some of the things in the game. We'll mix in your comments, questions, joys, and concerns throughout Super Chats. Jump to the front of the line. But let's start with Juggernaut Joe Mixon. There's no better place to start than with Joe Mixon. He was incredible today. In fact, this is the best game of Joe Mixon's career. I bet you didn't know that. Joe Mixon's previous rushing high was 165 and then 162. He rattled off 159 today, including 104 of that 159 in the second half. Now, why am I saying it's his best game or one of his best games? Because when you add in the receiving yards to his 159, it comes up with one of his best yardage totals in his career. I said that he has juggernaut potential. If you're unfamiliar with the Juggernaut, he's a comic book character, and once he gets moving, he can't be stopped. Mixon probably has 200 yards if there's a good playing surface in Indianapolis. He was so close to breaking a big one so many different times in that game. I thought for sure he was going to rip off a 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown run. He got so close a couple of different times. I feel like if the turf was in better condition, he finds himself with a huge one. I'm excited to watch him against the Bears on Sunday after what he put together. 30 carries in this one, 5.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Man, what more could you have asked for from a guy that you added in the offseason to do this, to take this offense, to take this rushing attack that was 22nd last year, that was 29th in yards per carry, that was 31st in rushing first downs, or first downs by rushing, excuse me. And to have Joe Mixon do that, you see the potential of this offense when you've got a big-time running back like the Juggernaut back there. Juggernaut Joe Mixon is what I've deemed him. I said he had juggernaut potential in the summer, and he showcased it in the first one. Now, 30 carries a game for 17 games is over 500 carries. Joe Mixon's not doing that. But when he was out and they ran the football, Dameon Pierce blasted in there for a few really nice plays. Pierce had 3 carries for 16 yards in his appearances. They got some creative stuff on the ground as well. Tank Dell, Stefon Diggs, in some of the handoff situations to the wide receivers. The rushing attack for the Texans was excellent, and a great job by Bobby Slowick to go out there and mix it up. There were inside runs. There were outside runs. It was going left, going right, and really you just trusted the big uglies up front, I say that affectionately, and Joe Mixon to go out there and grind through the Indianapolis Colts. And I feel like one of the best moments of it was after the blocked punt, after the Colts score, Texans prevent the 2-point conversion thanks to Eric Murray with a really nice tackle, and then they go on a nice 7-minute drive, and they score a touchdown. Joe Mixon has a really nice drive there, and to put up 100 yards carrying, or 100 yards on his carries in the second half from Mixon, 100+ actually, just fantastic. The Juggernaut was in full effect against the Indianapolis Colts, and he's one of the biggest reasons this Texans team takes care of business. Pawn Shop 84, appreciate you for the super chat. Yeah, H is up. I think that's what the kids are saying these days. H is up to you as well. Appreciate you for the super chat. If you've got a super chat, you go to the front of the line like Jacob. Jacob says 40 to 20 minutes in time of possession advantage. Thank you, Joe Mixon. If it weren't for the block punt and bad turf, the Texans would have won by 2 scores. There was a couple of bad turf moments for the Colts, too, that kind of hurt them. So I'm wondering if maybe they had a little bit of this or that go their way if the turf had been a bit kinder to them. But Joe Mixon was fantastic. As you mentioned, he helps you win the time of possession battle, helps you grind down the Colts. helps you be able to just get that little bit of separation when CJ Stroud's got to hit a 3rd and long to Nico Collins, because you've been grinding them guys down, and the safeties and the corners and the defensive backs have had to come up and hit Joe Mixon and make plays and try to round things out and finish him off in the second level, because he's blasting through that offense or that defensive line of the Indianapolis Colts and getting past the linebackers. A really good job by the rushing attack overall. Time of possession, you're going to win a lot of games grinding out time of possession and putting points on the board. Consistently, the Texans were going down there putting points on the board. There are a couple of times where they didn't put points on the board, but ultimately they were able to put points on the board on a consistent basis, in large part thanks to this rushing attack. Jacob, I appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Get to your comments and questions throughout. Mr. Heisenberg, appreciate you. Bubba says 20-0. It's still possible. It's still possible. Primetime, very good to see you. Jake Eubanks, Jimmy Ward, you got mossed. Yeah, he did. Jimmy Ward and the rest of the secondary did not have a great day. Kamari Lassiter had a couple of moments that didn't look too good. Derek Stingley had a couple of moments that didn't look too good. Obviously, Jimmy Ward didn't look good in this one either. So that was a rough one there for the secondary. We'll talk about that. P. Nasty, good to see you. Bet since he misses Joe Mixon today, bet you he does. So does everybody that picked him Survivor pool. Me. Alvarez, Stoots, you've been to all the practice. Were you concerned with Ward? Was this happening in camp, or are we not stressed about it? You never want to decide if a guy's good or bad on one game. This is all you've got right now. It didn't look good. The concerning part was that it happened again. They get you once, okay, but it shouldn't happen twice like that. I'll be interested to see what Ward and maybe DeMeco Ryans will have to say about that. Joe Mixon is indeed a dog. Good to see you, Space Age. Appreciate you dropping by. Never any doubt. On to the next one. Great running game. Exactly. Get to some more of your comments here in just a second. DeMeco Ryans' intestinal fortitude, okay? His cojones, all right? The ability to manage the game, go within the flow, and decide when and how his team needs to be super aggressive, when they need to do some other things. I loved going for it early on that 4th and 1. I don't know that I loved the play call. They ended up throwing it. CJ Stroud gets it to Brevin Jordan for the first down. I probably would have ran the ball at that moment. And then he goes for the field goal later on after they get 4th and short. It wasn't as short as the first 4th down that they went for. But here's the moment that separates DeMeco Ryans from a lot of coaches and separates DeMeco Ryans from hypothetical head coach Cody Stoots. Because hypothetical head coach Cody Stoots would not have done the go for it on 4th down with about almost 5 minutes left. Over 4 minutes, not quite 5 minutes. Hypothetical head coach Cody Stoots would have kicked the field goal there. I would have shrunk. I would not have called the pass play, and I would have kicked the field goal, put points on the board, and forced the Colts to go down the field, try to score on me, burn as much time as possible, and then put the ball in CJ Stroud's hands if the Indianapolis Colts went down and scored on me. But DeMeco Ryans has intestinal fortitude, belief in his team, and really, frankly, we all should believe in CJ Stroud in that moment. They run the pass left to Stefon Diggs. Diggs is open. You heard the announcers talk about how they manned everybody up, and Diggs is able to beat that man coverage. A really great job by DeMeco Ryans to have his pulse, or to have the pulse of his team, and to go for it in that moment. Because, yes, it put the Texans up by 9, making it a 2-score game. Like it didn't seal victory for sure. It didn't, seal the likelihood of overtime if the Colts were able to score. But what it did was, and I think this was interesting, it forced the Colts to have to go out there and get a touchdown on that initial one. Because the reasoning for me that the Colts went for that touchdown and went for it on 4th and short down on the ensuing drive is because if they get the ball back and need 3, it's easier to get into field goal range than it is to get the ball back and need 6 and go out there. So say you get the ball back with 30 seconds, you got 20, 30, 40 yards to go to get into field goal range and give your guy a shot. If you get the ball back and you got 70 yards to go in 30 seconds, it's less likely. So it put a lot of pressure on the Colts. It forced them to use some of their best plays. Richardson kind of went Superman on a couple of those plays there late. Just tried to will it to happen. They used the deep bomb to get into position as well. But it really put some pressure on the Colts, had them tighten up a little bit. Ultimately, they punch it in there, and the Texans get the ball back. And that's part of it, too. The Texans get the ball back. Then you trust your team on 3rd and long, the intestinal fortitude. Again, trust C.J. Stroud, trust Bobby Slowick. They're going to be ready for this opportunity. You throw the ball on 3rd and long, and 7 hits 12 on the sideline. I don't know how Nico Collins gets his knee in, and they've got a first down. And for the most part, that's all she wrote on this one. You run the ball a couple more times, and that's game over. You beat the Indianapolis Colts, and you're 1-0. So credit to DeMeco Ryans. I don't feel like he made some sort of drastic go for it, don't go for it mistake. At the moment, I was questioning it, but it made sense, and he took care of his business in those moments. Into the first half, not great. The pool reporter, who was the official that the reporters talked to after the game, the pool reporter said they informed C.J. Stroud that the clock would start on the whistle. So someone on the Texans knew that the clock was starting on the whistle. It was C.J. Stroud. Ultimately, they got 3 points at the end of the half. Would have been nice to have the 3 points, obviously. That was a debacle. The officials didn't make it any easier to understand how everything was going on, though. So a couple more things that we'll get to. I want to get to some of your comments. Team, and I see you there. We get to you, BG, my friend, with the super chat. Thank you so much. Thoughts on closing out the first half? It didn't seem like they went into 2-minute mode, let a lot of time run off clock. Had the mishap going into halftime. LFG Texans. BG, appreciate the super chat, my friend. Thank you. I didn't like the approach initially on that 2-minute situation. And then they got down there, and I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to run a play to get 5 more yards to make it a little bit easier for Kaimi Fairbairn. I feel like they were maybe right on the comfortable range for Fairbairn. They were going to try to run a play is what was going to happen. That's what they were going to try to do, is run the play. And they thought, I feel like, that the clock was going to start when they snapped it, not when the referee blew the whistle. That's why they ran a play. That's why C.J. Stroud was in shotgun. Okay? They knew that there was only 5 seconds. They were trying to run a play. I've seen it in practice. I've seen them run plays in practice where they take 3 seconds off the clock and they go from basically 5 seconds to 2 seconds and they get 5 yards. That's what they were trying to do. And it didn't work out. It cost them 3 points trying to do that. They probably should have just tried the 55-yard field goal. The officials made it difficult. I didn't like the lack of aggression early in that drive, and it did sort of take a lot more time off the clock. It felt like they were only playing for the field goal in that 2-minute situation. BG, I appreciate you for the super chat, man. You're a great supporter of the channel. You're very generous. Thank you so much. Jim with a super chat. Thank you, Jim. 1-game lead over 3 teams in the division. Nice block by Stover on the last run. Joe Mixon made sure to get Cade Stover his flowers and give him props on the performance that he had at the fullback spot. And Stover did not do that a lot in practice throughout the preseason. So this is something that they're just comfortable with him doing. He went out there, took care of business at the fullback spot, did pretty well. I'd be interested to know a little bit more, and maybe a little, some of the nerds who grade things out, and then even talk to the team again about how Cade Stover did in that situation. But Jim, appreciate the super chat, man. You're a great supporter of the channel as well. This guy's been on a few times. Team, what's up, man? How you living?
Not bad. How are you?
Doing fantastic, man. How about
Yeah, I mean the most encouraging thing I can say from that game is that like the mistakes we made are very fixable. Like that deep ball by Richardson, I don't know how many quarterbacks can actually throw that ball. That was like for as bad as Richardson is, I think that ball was an unbelievable throw by him, and I don't think there's many quarterbacks that can actually make that throw in behind the defense to Pierce there. So I think that's easily clean upable. And I mean, Jonathan Taylor, like that guy is one of the best freaking running backs in the league, and we made him look amateur today. Like the run defense, I was worried about it going into it with the defensive tackles, but Fatukasi and Edwards did a great job. And I mean, even though Hunter and Anderson pass rushing wise might not have done the best, they still stuffed the run. The linebackers did a great job. I think overall it was a encouraging performance.
man? Just you talked about Jonathan Taylor on the day. He finished up with 16 carries for 48 yards. That's 3 yards per carry for the average for Jonathan Taylor. He obviously had that touchdown that they were set up after the block punt. But yeah, didn't feel like Taylor. I felt like they threw too much. It felt like they should have given Jonathan Taylor the football a little bit more than they did.
Yeah, it definitely did. But then at the same time, right, like I think they did have a lot of success throwing, but I think Richardson also did miss a lot of throws he probably should have made. Like there was one, I believe it was the first quarter or something, and I think it was A.D. Mitchell was open and he just sailed it right over his head. And it's like that's an easy first down that you should be completing, right? And I think, yeah, I mean, the defense had its moments. Like I think like that Pierce touchdown I think is completely unacceptable because you have two guys around him and you can't be giving those up. But at the same time, we're not going to be giving up a deep shot like that every week. So I'm not too worried about that. And I think offensively, the offensive line I think was decent. It wasn't great. The pass blocking wasn't phenomenal.
I thought it was bad.
Yeah, I agree. Stroud, there are some plays where he basically took 2 steps back and he had two guys in the space right away, and it's like you can't do much about that. The run blocking was good, but I mean, holy Mixon looked like he was a rookie there. Like that guy, I all I heard all offseason was that Joe Mixon was washed. He didn't look washed to me. He looked like one of the best running backs in the league to me. So,
Yeah, he
you
was
know,
rolling, man. He was
I
rolling.
mean, yeah, and it was also really good to see Diggs with you know, all the crap he got in the offseason about this guy's a bad leader, this guy's a bad teammate. Got 2 touchdowns, and his teammates like him, and it's like we have three great receivers. And while Tank Dell didn't have a great game, maybe against the Bears, Jalen Johnson lines up against Collins, he erases Collins, but then it's that time for Tank Dell to step up, or Dalton Schultz steps up, or even Xavier Hutchinson step. Like this team just has so many weapons. I'm not worried offensively at all going forward.
It was a fantastic one, man. Team, and I'm going to keep it rolling. I appreciate you jumping in, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. Oh, yeah, one more thing.
What you got?
Jaime Fairbairn is the GOAT kicker. That guy's automatic.
The last time he kicked there, he missed a very easy one, and they almost lost the game because of it. And then now, I mean, he was dead eye on all his his kicks. So,
absolutely. All right, Cody. Have a good one, buddy.
See you, man. Teeman, appreciate you jumping in. You want to jump in like Teeman? The link at the top of the chat can get you in here. A couple of your comments, more observations from the game as well. Appreciate everybody watching along. If you're watching along after the fact, well, the comment section is still open down below. People who said Mixon is an upgrade over Singletary look dumb. Yep. Ward was horrible. Yep, he was not good. He's not good. He was not up there supporting the run like we thought he was going to. And then the Pierce plays can't happen. That's all that guy does. That's all Alec Pierce does. He that's the only thing he can do is run straight and go deep. So how does he get open like that? It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me that can happen twice. I get it once. He's not that fast. Oh, crap, he's behind us. But for that to happen twice, for him to have 125 yards receiving, a 60-yard touchdown, that can't happen. Okay, you're going to face one-trick ponies throughout the course of this season. You've got guys on every NFL roster that are one-trick ponies that can only do a few things. And so when a guy like Pierce has that day, you worry about more than the studs of the opposing teams. Nick goes best mode. Yelled all offseason. Texans need to add a veteran safety. Stop getting beaten over the top, and they did nothing. Today we almost lost the game because of it. When will they address it? Well, maybe that's simply a little bit more Kalen Bullock in matchup situations. Yeah, the secondary as a whole was not good enough. It was not good enough. Tiemann brought it up. Adonai Mitchell just absolutely shook the pants off of Derek Stingley on one play, and then Richardson missed him for a touchdown. Adonai Mitchell got Kamari Lassiter. Lassiter actually had a penalty on him, and then Richardson missed him again on a play. Jimmy Ward got beat a couple of times, and then the entire secondary is just lost on some guy named Ashton Doolin, and he has a 40-plus yard, 50-plus yard touchdown. Like, the secondary wasn't good enough. It's got to be better. You're going to face more consistent quarterback play. Like, they got bailed out a couple of times by Anthony Richardson being Anthony Richardson. This is what he does. And the Doolin play is a throw that very few guys can make or he would even try. Richardson tries it because he's got a cannon. But most quarterbacks don't even try to make that Doolin play. A little bit left, a little bit right. It could have been intercepted. He probably didn't, most guys don't try that. Richardson did it. Credit to him. That's a great pass. But, he sails one over Adonai Mitchell's head. He sails one far from Mitchell. He hit Azeez Al-Shire in the hands. He overthrew the ball, and Kalen Bullock had an interception, the lone bright spot from the secondary today. So there were a lot of things that Anthony Richardson helped this Texans team out. The secondary's got to be much better. You get a little bit of a reprieve here because it's Caleb Williams. It's a tough wide receiver room that you're going to go against, but it's still a quarterback that's still kind of learning. But after that, Sam Darnold, he looked pretty good today. Trevor Lawrence will get you. Josh Allen will make you look silly. If Love is back by week 7 in Green Bay, maybe that's a little bit tougher matchup, but there's some things to clean up, certainly, in this secondary. Certainly. So it was not good enough in the secondary from hardly anybody. Only saw 2 runs from Dameon Pierce, but he looks like a solid backup. Yeah. I mean, he handled exactly his business. 3 carries, 16 yards for Dameon Pierce. Lucas Oil from the Loud House to the Stroud House. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Okay. Get through some comments here. Try to catch up and get current with you guys here. Secondary was Swiss cheese. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. We're going to build off this game. See, that would be the scary thing for me if I was opposing teams watching the Texans offense and be like, oh, they're going to get even better. And then that's the thing that you would say about the defense when they had some of the hiccups, when you had, Anthony Richardson with some of the success on the ground. Like, Jalen Petrie can't quite take him down. Henry To'o can't quite take him down. Or Petrie got juked. To'o can't take him down. Like, that's going to be Christian Harris later in the year. He probably gets Anthony Richardson. Petrie's going to learn from that. He's going to learn what he needs to do to attack big players like that. The secondary is going to be better. Like, people are going to challenge Derek Stingley, and it's going to be bad. By the way, Stingley, I was critical of him for the couple of times that Mitchell got loose. But Stingley had some great recognition and play recognition to go out there and go make some tackles that Richardson can throw that short stuff. He loves that short stuff. The Colts love that short stuff. And Stingley was in there to really, bust some of that up and keep it for short gains or no gains. So there's plenty to like about Stingley's day, plenty to not like about the secondary overall, but plenty to like from Stingley's day. Good play recognition, anticipation to get some of those things done. Why did we give Ward an extra $5 million? Could have spent that on Simmons. Well, Ward's money is, it's spread out over the 2 years. So, I mean, look, I was in favor of Simmons. I understand why they thought they're good enough. And again, not everybody's going to be able to nail their wide receiver like that. I mean, Tiemann brought up a good point. There's not that many guys that can do exactly what Richardson did. You're going to face some of them, unfortunately. Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen. But hopefully you got things cleaned up by the time those guys are coming in town. I guess you're going to see Lamar. I mean, you're going to see Mahomes. Let's see here. Let's do this. The defensive ends today. So Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, number 3 overall pick, reigning defensive rookie of the year. Neil Hunter, $25 million man. They combined for 3 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 pass defended. Now, when you look at the box score, that is not super impressive. But when you factor in the fact that the Colts had to account for those guys every single play, and Anthony Richardson knew where they were, and they forced Anthony Richardson out of some situations and into some moving around and into some quicker throws. Like, the stats aren't there necessarily, but this was not a bad performance by the defensive ends, and it helped the defensive tackles have a big day. Mario Edwards, Foley Fadukasi, 2 veterans that are playing in this system, the system that fits them. Edwards, you saw him loop around for a sack, and you saw Fadukasi be the benefactor of the defensive line swarming in there and forcing Richardson to step up. The big fella falls on Richardson, and you get yourself a sack. So 2 sacks on the interior defensive line. And I would tell you, if the defensive line's walking out with at least 2 sacks every week and the pressures that they put on Anthony Richardson, they'll be more than happy. And again, there's room for improvement. It's Will Anderson's first game back since he's been healthy. They're going to get a lot of attention over there to him. It's Danielle Hunter's first game in the system. They're going to get a lot of attention over there to him, opposing offenses. Let's see in a little bit larger sample size what those defensive ends are made of. I got a hunch on Sunday Night Football. It's not going to be fun for the Chicago Bears, okay? Not going to be fun. Hey, I do want to take a second here to tell you about my friends at Prize Picks. If you rode along with us on Prize Picks this week, you were a winner. Check this out. Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Stefon Diggs in our Prize Picks lineup, our power play, more than half a passing touchdown for Anthony Richardson, more than half a rushing receiving touchdown for Stefon Diggs, and more than 1.5 passing touchdowns for CJ Stroud. If you rode along with us on Prize Picks, you were a winner. And you can get that fantastic offer that you see on the screen down below in the link in the description. Prize Picks, the best and easiest way to play fantasy football, okay? Daily fantasy on Prize Picks. So many options, so many players, so many different things you could do. Put your entry together as little as 2 pieces of your entry, and you can put a whole bunch more in, a couple of clicks, okay, a couple of touches on the screen. Next thing you know, you might turn $10 into $1,000 with Prize Picks. They do a fantastic job. They make it so easy. And you're going to play your first 5, and you're going to get $50. Okay, all you have to do is play the first 5. You don't even have to win. You're going to win, though. But you don't have to win. And you get the $50. How about that? Use the code Stoots, S-T-O-O-T-S, S-T-O-O-T-S, Prize Picks, the link in the description down below. We appreciate them for being fantastic sponsors. Appreciate you for riding along if you did. Let's get to some of these comments here. Get to some more observations from the game as well. The super chats go to the front of the line like Jake Eubanks. Jake, great supporter of the channel. Appreciate you. We got to scheme better for the running quarterbacks because Allen is going to run all over us. I don't think you can stop Josh Allen. This is you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him situation. That's what I feel like it is with Josh Allen. The Cardinals started out pretty good on Josh Allen. They were up 17-10 in the first half, and then Allen got moving. I'm not watching that game, obviously, watching the Texans, but you kind of checking over and paying attention, like, oh, look at that go. He is dynamic with the football in his hands. Maybe you're going to have Christian Harris back for that game. It's not likely, but it's not impossible. So that would help a lot. But yeah, you're going to have to be ready for mobile quarterbacks. There are more mobile quarterbacks in the NFL than there ever were. You're going to have to be ready for mobile quarterback. I don't know that you're ever truly, totally prepared for him. But hey, Allen moves around a lot. You've got Lamar Jackson on the schedule. Mahomes, it's not running, but he moves around to keep the play going. You'll see Anthony Richardson again. Will Levis can move around, though he'll make some crazy decisions with the football, but Will Levis can move around. So there's plenty of mobile guys that you need to be ready for. So Jake, appreciate the super chat, man. If you got the super chat, you go to the front of the line. Tyrannical typo Michael Tester. Replace Howard. He was and is garbage. Kwity Paye had Howard. He bull rushed him, had him into CJ Stroud for one of those sacks. The ends, I felt like, didn't have a huge day, but they got enough pressure around the edge to force Stroud into some other pressure. Obviously, Kwity Paye has that big moment right there. Who officially got the sacks there for the Colts? So DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Tyquan Lewis, and Dayo Adeyingbo. So you kept Grover Stewart off of your guys. He only had 2 tackles, not even a tackle for a loss. Latu's not even on the stat sheet. That's the first round pick that they had, so he's not even on the stat sheet. Obviously, DeForest Buckner ate CJ Stroud up one time. They had a sack party at CJ Stroud one time. It's not all Titus. I don't believe they're as bad pass blocking as they showcased today. 4 sacks. Here's the thing about those 4 sacks. Every one of those sacks led to a kick at the end of the drive. So either it forced a field goal or they punted the football. 3 of those sacks came on 3rd down. And you can't have the money down be a sack down for you. And I get it. You're more likely to throw the football on 3rd down, so you open yourself up for more sack opportunities on 3rd down. But for those plays to come on 3rd down, That's something that against a really good team you won't be able to recover from. You almost weren't able to recover from it against the Colts. The look on the Colts players' faces at the end was like, damn, they have a running game now. The Texans certainly do. That certainly do. If Ward's hands was 2 inches over, Pierce wouldn't have had the second catch. Yeah, the second one was a little bit tougher, but good play by the Colts on that one. The first one he ran right past him. You got to turn the Jets on there, Jimmy. The first game will get better as the season rolls on, secondary and O-line. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It took away the rushing attack. Yeah, only 104 yards rushing and 56 of that from Anthony Richardson. So nice that we didn't have to lean on Colts secondary blowing coverages to beat them. Yeah, the Texans are going to dissect some people, man. They're going to have moments where they just absolutely tear people apart because of their ability to get open in the middle of the field. I mean, you didn't even really see the tight ends get involved. They threw the ball to Joe Mixon a couple of different times, but there's still a lot to unlock in this offense. As CJ Stroud talked about it after the game. They're rusty. They're rusty on offense. Everybody's rusty. It's week 1 of the NFL. Yeah, Anderson did have the tackle for a loss. Bubba, I wouldn't call it good. I think the defense was acceptable at times. I don't think the overall performance could be considered good. Offense played really good. I don't think you'd call the defensive performance good. Turf was terrible. I wonder how much that's been like sometimes I wonder if that new turf like that needs to get worked out a little bit. So I wonder how many times people have been on the field. The way the D-line affected the game while only bringing 4 most of the time, how well they handled the run was beautiful to watch. Yeah, it didn't feel like the Texans sent much extra at any time. I have to go back and look. But it didn't feel like they needed to send a whole bunch of extra heat. Now, they sent Azeez Al-Shire on one of them that really heated up Anthony Richardson. But it didn't seem like there was a ton of blitzing. Didn't seem like there was a ton of blitzing because there wasn't. Yeah, Stefon Diggs, welcome to the Texans. I thought this is where I want to go with this actually. I think this is good. It's a good who had the Stefon Diggs comment? Yeah, Thunderbolt here. Diggs had 2 TDs. But the wide receiver distribution was pretty good. Nico goes 6 for 8 for 117, no touchdown. Hank goes 3 for 7 for 40 yards. And, you could see how they want to use Dell. And the scramble drill is invaluable to Dell and to Collins when the Stroud gets moving. And then Stefon Diggs 6 for 6 for 33 and 2 touches. I mean, the really good distribution. I mean, they threw the ball 32 times, and 21 of them went to the top 3 wide receivers. And the rest, you're kind of, it was guy needed a break or guy was open or got to dump it down to Daria Gumbawale. But I thought the wideout distribution was pretty darn good here from this one. Like, nobody should be upset with I didn't get enough or I got too much, that guy got too much or anything like that. No. Pat Mahomes would have smoked RD today for 40. Yeah, he does that on a regular basis. We'll play better and build off today. I'm not worried. Yeah, you got so much to get better off of after week 1. Teams are so different 5-6 weeks into the season than they are in that first week. And Preston Aiton. Did we ever figure out how to say this? Prestaton, maybe. Autry and Harris definitely missed today and held up pretty nice on defense. Yeah, if you had Autry and you had Christian Harris, maybe things are a little bit different and they go a little bit easier on defense, but took care of their business. Brandon, this is a good observation. I felt the same way. I wrote this at Houston Football. To'o looked better than last year. I mean, he told Landry Locker that he wasn't in shape last year. He changed his body a little bit. He worked on his tackling in the offseason, was something he's talked about a couple of times. And okay, Anthony Richardson stiff armed you and then got a first down when you tried to tackle him. That happens. It's going to happen to a lot of guys. But I thought Toto handled himself nicely out there. I thought he handled himself nicely. Yes, I do have a back scratch. I am my back. This is what the rushing attack's like. Hey, scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Passing attack. Yeah, but I thought Toto looked okay. LT handled that, man. You talk about Latu, the rookie. I don't have drapes, so the sun is destroying me here at 6:26 p.m. Got the super chat. Young Costa in with the super chat. Appreciate you, YC. Can we take a second to appreciate these Watson and Bryce Young performances? The football gods have finally smiled upon us. Yeah, it looks hopeless in Cleveland. Like he just looks lost. Like the Bryce Young's looking bad too, but like he's still young and the Panthers stink. The Browns went to the playoffs last year. Joe Flacco was tops in yards per game last year. They added Jerry Jeudy in the offseason. Their offensive line's healthy. Their defense, I guess, was pretty good. The Cowboys have pieced them up a little bit here. But it's hopeless in Cleveland, and they're stuck with him, and he's expensive. In Carolina, yeah, they got rolled by the Saints, and Bryce didn't look good. That's not a very talented football team that he's playing with. Like, they stink. The offensive line is horrible. The running backs are Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. Like, that team stinks. Like, they're hopeless until they add some more talent. They shouldn't have traded all the stuff they did because they probably could have used those picks to go around somebody else. But that's where they are. They've got to use money. They've got to get free agents. They've got to hope guys get better when they do have the draft picks. I mean, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round this year. They traded up for him. That wasn't smart. But they also needed wide receiver help. So they couldn't fix everything. Are the Panthers going to be better than last year? Yes. Can they be better than last year and still stink to high heaven? Yes. And it does feel that way. And yeah, almost had Bryce Young. You win a game in Indy 2 years ago. And it works out in your favor. And then almost had Deshaun Watson for all these years. And then he actually helped you net a lot of those players. So it's good observation there, young Costa. Thank you, Devin. This was Will Anderson. They play. It looked like you guys wrestling fans. You ever watch a wrestling match, and they got the new like humongous guy. Mark Henry would do this sometimes. And they got the little local guy who's a fifth of the size of the WWE wrestler. And he'll go in there and he'll beat him up a little bit. And then they just put him in a bear hug. And they just hold on to him until they do the arm raise thing and the guy's out. And then, Mark Henry just throws him over to the side, So like they do that stuff to the local jobbers, That's what the offensive line was doing to Will Anderson. They were bear hugging him. There was a play, and I don't know how Will Anderson didn't get a flag. The offensive lineman literally had his arms around Will Anderson's shoulders. Like, I was like, how is he not getting a call here? So if they could throw a couple flags when Will Anderson gets tackled by the offensive line, that'd be nice. I'm glad somebody brought that up, Devin. Take away the blocked punt, they would have never scored. You mean on the ground? I don't know that this is the truth. I mean, they hit those big shots and got into position. DeRhino weighs in. He's a great supporter of the channel. Appreciate you, DeRhino. Definitely didn't look polished today, but good teams can play through these things. They will be way better. Yeah, look, a hallmark of a good team is you overcome adversity. Hallmark of a great team is you don't have those mistakes. Like, it's one thing the other team makes a great play and you got to bounce back from it. It's another thing when you take a shotgun, point it directly at your foot and blow your lower leg off, which is what happened when they had the punt get blocked. And it looked pretty elementary too. Like it looked like the situation was just somebody just didn't hit their assignment the right way. So I'll be I'll be intrigued to hear a little bit more about the missed punt block. We flipped the script. Nico and Mixon were like how T.Y. and Taylor used to do. It's nice to not be on the receiving end for once. Nico Collins is to the Colts what T.Y. Hilton used to be to the Texans. And they got to be sick. They got to be sick in Indianapolis every time C.J. Stroud scrambles a little bit. And in the scramble drill, he dumps it off to Nico Collins in some crazy throw. They got to be sick every time that happens in Indianapolis. Rafael Martin, they gifted us the second best running back on paper. Joe is as good as Barkley. I don't know about the longevity of it, and I don't think we should or want to see this from Joe Mixon again. But Joe's still got stuff left in the tank. Absolutely. He's actually more durable than Saquon. I had a bet on no interceptions for CJ. Dude scared the hell out of me twice. Yeah, that one was difficult. The throwaway can't happen. If he's going to get rid of the ball, he has got to make sure that thing gets all the way out of bounds. Go Varsity Blues, hit the cowboy on the horse. All right? You got to get all the way out of bounds if you're going to get rid of the ball. A sack, you can live with the sack. You cannot turn the ball over where that turnover would have been. And then the other one, I don't think he threw it in the end zone to Schultz thinking that, I got a free play because of a penalty. I don't believe that to be the case. I also don't believe that Kenny Moore gets to Dalton Schultz unless he pass interferes with Dalton Schultz as well. So those two interceptions were not great. I'm not going to be like, let's put them on the ledger anyway for CJ for the year. That's not necessarily how I would operate with it. But he's got to make a better decision throwing the football away. A sack is okay in that spot compared to an interception. And then a potential red zone turnover, that would have been backbreaking at that moment. That the Colts Uncle Momentum would have been sitting squarely in the Colts side of the stadium. Got a super chat. It's just Preston. I just spelled it differently, C-Dog. All right, Preston. I appreciate you. I could see how the 8's an O and the 3's and the 3 is an E. Preston, appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it. Yeah, fixing me here. I'm excited for next week on Real Turf. Caleb looks to be having some growing pains. He's going to. But I don't like the coaching staff in Chicago. I don't like Matty Eberflus. I don't like the offensive staff they've put around him. Like, they did not go out there and put a Bobby Slowick-esque offensive system around Caleb Williams. They really didn't. Like, Shane Waldron is the offensive coordinator out there. He's coordinated the Seahawks for the past couple of years. Fine. Experience with the Rams as pass game coordinator and a quarterback coach. Okay. Like, maybe he's sort of kind of, up and coming. But, the Seahawks went in a totally different direction. Geno looked good, but that's a totally different type of guy than what Caleb is. I don't like the staff there in Chicago. They're in some trouble. They're going to get fired at the end of the year, I believe. And Bobby Slowick's going to be the head coach there next year. Carolina had a full offseason, got worse. I don't know. Pass blocking was underwhelming today, no doubt. Jesse F says, can we acknowledge Titus Howard has a one-game streak where he didn't get hurt? Mean, but we will acknowledge it. Titus Howard healthy out of this one, after this one. Ian says, what's up, Stu? Is it me or did we lose this game last year? Feels like a much more balanced team. Nice to have the run game for the first time since Carlos Hyde was the running back. Throwback. A year ago, week 1, week 2, first 5-6 weeks, they probably do lose this game. End of the year last year, they win this game. It's like they built on what they did last year, carrying it into this year. So I agree with you. Early in the year last year, they lose this game. Late in the year, they win it. Redneck TX, appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you. Bounced in here just now. Sorry if it was talked about already, but I thought we got cheated at halftime confusion. Okay. Here's what I believe happened at halftime. And I haven't seen, I was trying to listen to DeMeco Ryans post-game Let's see what he said about the. So DeMeco Ryans' explanation going into halftime on CBS was, "It's on me. We got to communicate better." After the game, it's just us as coaches, starting with me, just communication on the sidelines. Here's what I believe happened at halftime. Okay, and this is based on what CBS said, based on what I saw, based on what I've seen at the practice, based on the pool report from another from the officiating. So let me get the official title here. So this is Senior Vice President of Officiating Perry Fewell. So it's DeMeco, it's CBS, it's Fewell. It's based on what happened on the field. Here's what I think happened. They review the Dalton Schultz play. Okay? They review the Dalton Schultz play, and that play occurs. Let me see here. Let me get it right here so I have this route. So that play starts at 23 seconds. Dalton Schultz is tackled at 18 seconds. Okay? Texans hurry to spike it. The officials at 15 seconds stop the clock. Okay? They review it. When they review it, they determine it's a catch, which I thought was hilarious. Tiki Barber and Gene Steratore immediately said, "Oh, it's getting overturned." Wrong. Steratore's never right. He's terrible. They review it. The official comes back out and says it's going to be 15 seconds on the clock. Colts call a timeout. Steichen's yelling at him. The official corrects himself and puts 5 seconds on the clock. Now, how do you lose 10 seconds in there? The play didn't go on. Well, you lose 10 seconds because when the official stopped the game for a review, they're supposed to take 10 seconds off. And he incorrectly, the referee was, this is from the pool report. Jonathan Alexander talked to the senior VP of officiating. The referee was told the clock was set at 15 seconds. It would have only been set to 15 seconds if we were reversing the call. We didn't reverse the call, and so we corrected the admin and the clock to 5 seconds. Okay, so the Texans, so it was on the Texans to know when the clock would start. And the Fewell said that was communicated to the quarterback, "Hey, there are 5 seconds on the clock. The ball will start on ready." Okay, so they determined it needed to be 5 seconds on the clock, I guess because the time to – they lost 10 seconds somewhere because the play didn't take that long. All right? I guess to get set up for the spike maybe, that's when they timed it out for 5 seconds. Anyway, the Texans had to know or were told at some point that it was starting when they snapped the ball. They thought it was going to start before it snapped the ball. They thought it was going to start when they snapped the ball. They work this in practice. They throw the ball as quick as they can out of shotgun to the sideline to get 5 yards. I've watched them do it in practice time and time again in 2 minutes. They have 3-4 second plays that they run that they know they can get off and get out there. Okay? They were trying to buy Kaimi 5 yards. And ultimately, when the clock started, they were screwed and they ran out of time. I don't believe the referees screwed them on purpose. I think that they made it confusing and had a poor time communicating. Redneck, I appreciate you. Lots of comments. We'll get to that. Trey wants to weigh in. What's up, Trey?
Yes, can you hear me, Cody? How you doing?
I can hear you, man. Fire away.
All right, so I was watching the game, and I just noticed how, we look amazing. I do think that there's some things we have to work on. However, for it to be the first week, I was a little scared, man. The Cardiac Texans definitely had me pacing back and forth.
Oh, yeah. That's to me going to be probably when we know they're a great football team, is when they don't have consistent performances like this. Like, it felt like almost every game last year there was something like this. Cincinnati came down to the wire. Tampa came down to the wire.
Yeah.
Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, like the Cardiac Texans, like they're a good football team because they win some of those games. They'll be a great football team when our heart rates go down and they don't have those moments,
I was really thinking of because, man, I just really want a parade here in Houston for us to win the whole thing. So I
Right?
was looking at it today. I was thinking, like, okay, based off what I see from the Eagles, Green Bay, just all the top dogs on the NFC, AFC, how can we really do this? And for sure, we're gonna have to show up the secondary. I think the front seven actually played pretty amazing. I know Hunter and Anderson, they was able to make a few plays. They didn't really get a lot of sacks, but the front seven as a whole, they was swarming to the ball pretty well. So if we just shore that secondary up, I think I think we can win a lot more games because our defense will be more dominant.
Yeah, the secondary, if it clicks, and if you face so here's the thing: you get the edge guys going, it's going to make the secondary's job a lot easier.
Right.
Richardson probably shouldn't have had the time to hit those two bombs. Like, you probably should have had some guys in there to affect him a little bit more. I mean, the first one's a great play by him. He rolled out, he got out of the pressure, and he chunked that sucker. And, the guy's open in the end zone because he ran past everybody. Like, they're going to have some moments where teams challenge them and they're successful in the secondary.
Right.
So I'm not super worried about the secondary. Maybe the safety talent's a little bit lower than I thought, but maybe Kalen Bullock plays a little bit more, gets better, and turns into a bigger factor down the stretch than initially, because he's playing sparingly now. Maybe he plays a little bit more later on.
Right. I think they'll definitely get better. I think what you're saying is right, because we don't really play. We go get some heavy hitters, but it's really towards the end of the season where we have like Baltimore, then we have the Chiefs, we have like all like the big guns. But I think by that time, I believe we'll hit our stride, and I think we'll pretty much be ready to compete. I know next week we got the Bears, and I'll watch the highlights. And besides DeAndre Swift and maybe like some of their receivers, I just think we got Caleb Williams at a good time. He struggled pretty bad actually against the Titans too. So I think next week will be hopefully there's no cardiac Texans next week. It's just I feel like I'm getting older every time I just watch these games. Today we just had a couple of times where we just scored one more time after we got to stop. I just knew the game was over, but nope. It gave the ball back, block punt. I ran to the restroom, came back. I'm like, they scored a touchdown literally within like 30 seconds.
Yep.
I just can't deal with that kind of stress.
Man, I got gray in my goatee, and I got gray on the sides of my hair from literally last year. So there may be a few more moments where they gotta give us the cardiac Texans, but I like the potential. And look, you saw how much better they got over the course of last year.
Right.
They're starting from a better point, and if they improve again,
that's true.
They should be a really good team by the end of the year.
That's true, because the start of last season wasn't as good. I feel like they have a higher margin of error now. I don't know, because we're a better team, but it seems like a lot of these mistakes we didn't have to make, but we still won the game. I feel like in the past we would not have won this game. How it went, I don't think we would have won this game in the past.
Yep. Trey, I appreciate you jumping in, man. I'm gonna keep it moving. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good stuff from Trey, man. Good stuff. All right. Get some of these comments here. Definitely got robbed at halftime. They should have kicked. They should have been kicking. Like they should have just given Kaimi the opportunity to hit the 55-yarder. So Pierce was, I think I would call Pierce running back 2. Dare was in on passing down. So Dare is your third down running back sometimes. They'd have Mixon come off the field sometimes on third downs when he needed a little breather. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know that the ref did a good job explaining that they gave the Colts their time back. I don't think they did a good job explaining that. Gave their timeout back, excuse me. Nick goes vest mode. They didn't need 5 yards. They should have been kicking. Yeah, they should have been kicking in that spot. I agree. Point spread against the Bears was 3.5 yesterday. Now it's 6.5. Better jump on it soon. BG, I'll be at the game next week, and I'll be in my seat early. If you're attending the home opener next week, get your $, in the building and be loud. Oh, I got a hunch folks are going to be having some fun at the tailgates during the day and finding themselves in their seats at night. Be waiting all day for Sunday night. PG, appreciate the super chat, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. How did Petrie look at his new role? Didn't notice him much. I guess it's a good thing. He was in on some run stuff. But yeah, Richardson juked him out of his jock strap later in the game. That didn't look good. If they kick, wouldn't the clock still run out? Well, if they were sitting there lining up for a kick and they saw that the clock had started, maybe they could still execute it. You know? Happened to my boy Akers. He was not active for this game. He's not active for this game. Leaning on a little bit of special teams, and then Pierce took care of his business. We'll be outside barbecuing. Cody Hightower. Yeah, you got to give him some good weather for some barbecuing, man. You think Mix can handle 30 handoffs per game? Well, 30 over a 17-game season is 510 handoffs. And I know. There's going to be games where you can't give him that much. You're going to wear him out. So how do you take care of it? Well, that's where you can trust Dameon Pierce a little bit more. You can use him a little bit more. And you have some more success through the air. You may not need Joe Mixon as much. Kenyon Green, I salute you, sir. Kenyon got blowed up one time. I saw him laying on the ground, but he had some nice moments. You know, first game back, healthy, left guard, hadn't played football in, over a year. So there's some rust probably to be knocked off. Mr. Finger Guns. Yo, Cody, Texans are undefeated when I go to games, rocking Houston football hats. Let's go. Hey, Mr. Finger Guns, how about that? Hey, I got some Houston football hats you can get. A red Houston football hat. The blue ones are all sold out. You can get a red one. Bad luck picking the under. Did a bad job there. Bad job by me on the under. See the British Bulldog laying the wood today. Yeah, I don't think Davey Boy Smith's ever hit anybody that hard in the WWF. So the British fullback or whatever he is, I mean, he put a hit on that guy on the return man that anybody would have been proud of. Why was pass protection so bad? I mean, it's a good front seven, and I think they just had some real bad moments. Some real bad moments. It's not going to be perfect. 3 linemen for the sack. Yeah, DeForest Buckner, if 3 guys are blocking 1 guy and you don't see DeForest Buckner, go find him because he's probably going to kick the quarterback's ass in about 2 seconds. Banger and mash, British Brooks. I like that, Rick. I appreciate that. That's funny. Funny. We need you to ignore our comments about Jimmy. We need you to stop ignoring our comments about Jimmy Ward. What's going on with him? I mean, Alec Pierce ran by him twice today. What do you mean what's going on with him? He's fully healthy. He wasn't on the injury report. He had 2 really bad moments today. I'm not ignoring your comments. One of the first things we talked about. Jimmy Ward can't let Alec Pierce. The only thing Alec Pierce does is run straight and try to get open deep. You can't let that happen twice. He was in a little bit better position the second time, but they still came down with the ball, Indianapolis did. And it cannot happen. Like, one-trick ponies should not have success on you. Justin Jefferson does it to you in 2 weeks. I get it. Justin Jefferson's awesome. Alec Pierce and whatever the hell that one guy's name is, Ashton Doolin, they should not have big games against you. Should not. Ward has to go. He's not going anywhere. Jimmy Ward's going to start every week as long as he's healthy. Like, he's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. And Cody, where would you make the Colts front seven among the opponents that they're going to face this year? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll face 6 front sevens better than the Colts this year. So, there-ish. Play 17. Take 1 game, 2 games off, so you play 15 that aren't the Colts. 6, like 7th. 7th out of the however many opponents. H-Town TD 2000. Great win today. Great finishing by Mixon. Stroud looked good. What were your top 3 takeaways that need to be addressed? Got to clean up the entire secondary. Nobody really had a great day, to be honest with you. Kalen Bullock had the interception on an overthrow. Pass blocking's got to be much better. Got to be much, much better. And there were a couple of just like operation things that need to go a little bit better too. So that'd be my top 3. Thank you, H-Town TD 2000 for the super chat. Appreciate you. You're a fantastic supporter of the channel. Chris House, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you as well, Chris. Thank you. Petrie's light in his ass. Well, I mean, he's going up against Anthony Richardson, and even if he made contact prior to the juke, it might not have gone his way. He's fine. I mean, you didn't notice him in a big bad way. Probably a good thing. This is all pretty typical for a week 1 game. Offense a little out of sync with pass protection. CJ was a few moments off with the wide receivers. It all get cleaned up. I'm with you, Josh. There's plenty of room for improvement on this team, and that's the thing. They got a lot better last year over the course of the season. They're starting from a better spot. So, speaking of improving things, you can improve your watching of football with daily fantasy. The best way to do daily fantasy, the easiest way to do daily fantasy is with my friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best when it comes to daily fantasy. It's super easy too. You play your first 5, you get $50 for free. Use my code Stoots, STOOTS, STOOTS. And if you rode along with us last week, you would have been a winner. Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Stefon Diggs, more on their predicted stats. You would have been a winner. Had a big day over there at the Prize Picks. So get to the link in the description down below. Use the promo code Stoots, STOOTS, when you sign up. The link should autofill. If not, use Stoots and play your first 5 and get 50 instantly. Plus, they're putting some freebie squares up that are going to make it so much easier to put together a winning entry at Prize Picks. When's the joint stream with Landry? Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I believe. We will do Reaction Monday. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Shane Steichen is a good coach. I think they'll be competitive every week. They're going to be a tough draw for some people. They're going to be a real tough draw for some people, and they're going to hit some bombs on some people, and they're going to have some moments where they run the ball better than they did today. They did not run the ball well against the Texans. I mean, 4.7 per carry, but when you take out Richardson's runs, 3 yards a carry for Jonathan Taylor, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. I didn't like the focus that they put on the rushing attack. I felt like they should have put more if they were trying to really get after the Texans. So, okay, let's wrap up the live stream. This was a long one. We got the short video breakdown. If you want to go check that one out, it's on the channel. And you can check that out. This is the longer one, a little bit more comments, questions. Check that out tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., right here on YouTube, Reaction Monday, the locker room with Landry Locker, Cody Stoots. You do not want to miss that. Set the alarm clock, set the reminder. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., live in living color. Okay? Going to be fun. Plus, Survivor Pool. You beat me. I lost. I had the Bengals. So be on the lookout for me reaching out to you for you beating me on the Survivor Pool. We may do a redemption pool. We may do a redemption survivor pool. Who knows? Who knows? So, all right. HDAV Traveler, awesome show as always, Cody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate the kind words. Appreciate everybody watching, man. This is a fun one. We're going to have so many of these. They're going to be so fun over the course of the season. This is going to be a really fun season. A really fun season. And we end the live streams the same way each and every time. My hope for you, this is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. And I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't miss it. Reaction Monday. Will not be disappointed. Talk to you then.